You're probably scrolling through a dozen compressor listings right now, wondering if you'll end up spending a lot of cash on something that just sits in the garage gathering dust. I get that nothing's more frustrating than buying a tool that looks perfect on paper, but never quite fits the way you need it to. So before you click Add to Cart, let's talk about whether the Ingersoll Rand 2340N 5v5 HP 2-stage air compressor actually lives up to the hype for real-world use. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, this isn't a hobby shop nice-to-have unit. It's built for people who run tools for several hours a day and need the air to keep up without the motor overheating or the tank running dry. The 5 HP motor is rated for 100% continuous duty, which means you can run a paint sprayer, impact wrenches, or a pneumatic grinder for long stretches without the compressor cutting out. That alone separates it from the 12 HP garage-only models that start whining after 10 minutes and force you to wait for the tank to refill. The biggest practical advantage you'll feel right away is the 14.3 CFM flow at 90 psi. In everyday terms, that's enough volume to keep a decent-sized air nailer firing without the pressure dropping, and you'll never be left holding a half-inflated tire when you're trying to get a truck back on the road. The max pressure of 175 psi also gives you headroom for high-pressure applications like sandblasting or running a tire inflator that needs more than the standard 120 psi. For a home-based auto repair shop, that means you can do brake bleeding, run an impact wrench on a stubborn bolt, and still have air left over for a quick tire top-off-all in one session. Now, the 80-gallon ASME receiver tank is where the continuous duty claim really shines. Think of the tank as a buffer. It stores the air the motor creates, so you have a steady supply even when the motor isn't spinning at full speed. In practice, that translates to smoother operation of tools that are sensitive to pressure spikes like a HVLP paint sprayer. I've seen people with smaller 30-gallon tanks struggle with pump-and-dump cycles, where the motor constantly starts and stops, creating uneven paint flow and wasting electricity. With 80 gallons, you get a more consistent output, which can actually improve finish quality on a project that demands a fine mist. If you're wondering about durability, Ingersoll Rand has gone with individually cast cylinders, an overhung crankshaft, and a one-piece connecting rod. Those design choices are meant to reduce the number of moving parts that can wear out. In plain language, fewer parts mean fewer things that can fail, and the long-life badge isn't just marketing fluff, it's a result of engineering that's been tested in industrial environments. For a small business that can't afford frequent downtime, that reliability factor can save you both money and headaches. But let's be honest, this isn't a lightweight, portable unit you can toss into a pickup and haul to a job site with a single person. The motor, tank, and frame together weigh well over 300 pounds, and the footprint is roughly the size of a compact car's trunk. If your garage is already packed with tools or you're living in a small apartment, you'll need to carve out a dedicated corner or perhaps consider a concrete slab to place it on. The unit also runs on oil-lubricated compression, which means you'll need to check oil levels and change the oil periodically, something you don't have to think about with oil-free mini compressors. That maintenance isn't hard, but it does add a small time commitment. Noise is another hidden trade-off. Two-stage compressors at this power level typically sit in the 7,075 dB range when running, which is comparable to a normal conversation, but loud enough to be noticeable if your workshop shares a wall with a living space. If you're in a suburban neighborhood, you might want to invest in some acoustic padding or a separate enclosure to keep the sound down. That's an extra cost you won't see in the price tag, but it's worth planning for if you care about keeping the peace with your neighbors. So, who should hit the buy button? If you're a serious DIYer who spends multiple weekends a month on woodworking, auto repairs, or spray painting, this compressor gives you the airflow and tank capacity to keep the work moving without constantly waiting for pressure to rebuild. Small auto shops that need a reliable source for inflating tires, powering impact tools, and running a paint booth will also find the continuous duty motor a solid investment. Even hobbyists who have outgrown a 30-gallon, 1.5 HP unit will appreciate the step up in performance without having to go full industrial scale. Who should skip it? If you only need a compressor for occasional tasks like inflating a bike tire once a month or using a nail gun a few times a year, there are cheaper, lighter options that won't dominate your garage space. Also, anyone who's sensitive to noise or who doesn't have the ability to install